Welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. Got a really fun one for you today. Going to be going over some of my pros and some of my cons of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, a neighborhood just west of downtown and a place very special to me because I actually grew up in this part of town. So you're not going to want to miss this one, so stay tuned. All right, let's get started, guys. As I mentioned earlier, today we're going to be sharing pros and cons of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, a really cool part of town just west of downtown Denver. If you don't know already, I am a licensed real estate agent here in Denver, Colorado, and as much as I love making videos like this, what I love even more is just helping my friends, my family, my clients, and viewers like yourselves that are interested in maybe moving to Denver one day, connecting with you and just learning a little bit more about what you're looking for and hopefully being able to help out. If you need to reach out to me, I'm available 24/7. My phone number and my email are below, or you can also check out my website. Looking forward to sharing more with you guys about my pros and my cons of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. All right, so we're gonna jump right in with my first pro of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, and that's location. So the location of Wheat Ridge, in my opinion, is ideal. It's one of my favorite parts of Denver because it's on the west side of downtown and it has very easy accessibility, not only to the mountains, but also to downtown Denver. If you haven't been in Denver much, there is a lot of traffic at different parts of the day, and as you know, Denver is such a popular place to live nowadays. It keeps getting busier and busier, and unfortunately, the traffic gets worse and worse. So where it used to be, an hour or two in the morning and an hour or two in the evening for rush hour traffic, unfortunately nowadays it could be any time of day. And what's so great about Wheat Ridge is you're on the outskirts of town where you're within a 5 or 10 minute drive to downtown if you're still working and you're not remote, but you're actually physically going into work. A lot of jobs are in downtown Denver still, so you have the ability to get there within 5 or 10 minutes, or you can also jump on I-70, which basically skirts right through Wheat Ridge, and you can get up to the mountains in no time. So, a lot of other parts of Denver, you might have to fight traffic for 30 minutes just to get to the area that Wheat Ridge is in to start your trip up to the mountains. You can avoid all of that by just living on the west side of town and having that easy accessibility.
Sounds easy to me.
Not only just to get all the way up to the ski slopes, but even if you're just interested in going up on the after work, going up for a hike, that kind of thing. So definitely location is one of my favorite parts of Wheat Ridge. It's also great because since it is on the west side of town, it backs up to the foothills. So you've got really nice, easy accessibility to Red Rocks Amphitheater, Golden, Colorado, and all kinds of hiking, biking, rafting, endless outdoor activities are at your fingertips when you live on that west side of town. So without a doubt, my first pro, and I'll probably go into this a little bit more later, is again just the location of Wheat Ridge. All right, so after sharing my first pro, location, now we're gonna go into my first con of Wheat Ridge. And the con is something that really just depends on personal preference, but Wheat Ridge is an area that still feels a little bit older. There's a lot of people that have lived in Wheat Ridge for 50 years or more and have kept their same homes and are still there today. So I think we're at the very end of that, but there are still a lot of very old native Coloradans, a lot of people from Denver from 50 plus years ago that are living in their homes that were built in maybe the 50s or 60s, a lot of ranch style, single level homes, and a lot of those haven't been improved much. They're just still older homes. So a lot of the neighborhoods in Wheat Ridge, if you drive through them, you're gonna see some of that. You're gonna see homes that are, still in good condition, but just that older feel. You'll notice an even more extreme version of that if you go just a little bit further east of Wheat Ridge. So in between Wheat Ridge and downtown Denver, there's a few different neighborhoods that are very popular, but one of them is called Highlands. There's another one called Edgewater, and those areas are even older. They're like 1920s bungalows that you'll see a lot of homes in there. However, since that's a little bit closer to downtown Denver, that area has already grown a lot and expanded with a lot of new developments, a lot of pop tops where the bungalows have basically had second levels added on top. A lot of those are really modern type feeling homes. So you'll see a lot more of that kind of mixed style of homes when you get a little bit further towards downtown Denver from Wheat Ridge. But as I mentioned earlier, Denver is growing extremely fast, and because of that, these really popular areas, such as where I'm just talking about Highlands, Sloan's Lake, Edgewater, all these areas that are just next to downtown Denver, they're getting so overly built and just very dense that they're now starting to expand further out, and further out means going towards Wheat Ridge. So Wheat Ridge is an area that I'm saying this is a con that there's old homes. However, even this con, I still want to put a little twist on here because it's a great opportunity to get into an area that is going to be blowing up in the next 10 years. If I had my crystal ball, was looking at different neighborhoods in Denver that I feel like are really going to be good buys and areas that are really going to continue to grow and be very popular in the future, I see Wheat Ridge as one of the ones that are really on top of that list. So again though, talking positively, but the con of all of this is just a lot of old homes in the neighborhood, and because of that, a lot of old people. So there aren't quite as many hip new restaurants, bars, patios, rooftop deck type environments that a lot of the younger demographic brings with them when they start to move in and kind of take over and gentrify some of these neighborhoods. So my first con of Wheat Ridge, Colorado would just be that it's a little bit older of a demographic still. All right, so I'm gonna go into now my second pro. My second pro is just that Wheat Ridge is expanding and growing. So as I just mentioned a second ago, you really have a nice opportunity with Wheat Ridge to, if you know you're gonna live in your home for a minimum of, I would say, 5 years or more, you have the opportunity to really get into a neighborhood, into an area that is definitely on the up and up and really starting to expand and improve. So if you take a look at this map, you can see how Wheat Ridge has a fairly large area that it covers, all the way from Sheridan Boulevard over to Youngfield, as far north as Colfax, and then going down south to kind of that I-70 corridor. And what you can see is that there's a lot of kind of streets that are at the moment, haven't had too much done to them, as far as there's still old mixed use retail shopping centers that, haven't had the improvements like some of the other parts of town in Denver. However, we are already starting to see signs of this. There's a lot of old grocery stores, for example, that are getting facelifts. They're adding additional mixed use into some of these different neighborhoods and busy cross streets with, more retail and just popular restaurants. And you can just see that this is happening right now. And you can also see that this is something that's going to continue to happen just from the new development and the new construction that's all over the place. If you are up on the far east side of Wheat Ridge, we have an area that we border called Applewood. Applewood's one of my favorite parts of Denver. It's definitely one of those hidden areas, so don't tell your friends about this area. What's really cool about this Applewood area is there's a large development that's going on right now, and the main staple of that is a brand new hospital. So Lutheran Hospital has been one of the biggest draws to Wheat Ridge for a very, very long time. And about 2 or 3 years ago, they finally made the decision to totally relocate the entire hospital to a new place, which is still in Wheat Ridge. It's bordering that Applewood area, and it is going to be incredible. I mean, the building itself is modern and looks just awesome. It should be opening up here pretty soon, but they built it in a place that has so much open space around it. You can just tell that there's going to be restaurants, all kinds of other shopping. There's a brand new gym being built right now next door. There's just all sorts of infrastructure already in place. Stoplights, dirt pads, roads, everything is already there, and you can just identify and tell that this area in the next few years is going to turn into another major center for attracting people, again, for restaurants, bars, stores, everything. So really excited to see how this finally kind of gets finished in the next year or so and what's to come with that. So again though, just a pro is just the ability to see where Wheat Ridge is now and to just clearly know that it's a no-brainer, that this is going to be an area that's really going to become even more desirable in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years. So in my opinion, that's a huge plus if you're looking for a home today that you want to stay in for a few years. So moving right into my second con, and this one, as a real estate agent, I have to be very cautious and careful about how I talk about this, but I'm just going to briefly speak about the schools. So Wheat Ridge is part of Jefferson County, and Jefferson County School District has some great schools. I went to Wheat Ridge High School, which obviously is in Wheat Ridge, home of the Farmers. Go Farmers. However, the elementary schools have really been going through a lot of tough challenges over the last couple years. Just the amount of students has really declined at a few of the neighborhood schools, and they've actually had to close several of them. It was a very big contested thing that happened recently, and unfortunately there were several Jefferson County schools that did close down. My school that I went to, Wilmore Davis, was one of those, unfortunately. So there have been quite a few just changes going on when it comes to schools in Wheat Ridge. Wheat Ridge High School, where I went, used to be one of the better schools in Jefferson County. It's had its challenges over the last few years. The school that we kind of competed against, one of the neighbors of Wheat Ridge, is Golden, Colorado. Golden used to kind of be, not as good of a school in some people's eyes as Wheat Ridge. In some people's eyes today, those two have kind of flip-flopped. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to just bring up that the school districts in Wheat Ridge and in Jefferson County, there's some great options to choose from. However, there is right now some volatility just with which schools are staying around and going to continue to be open, and some that maybe are closing. So what's great about working with a real estate professional like myself, especially somebody that grew up in this side of town, is I can help you identify not only what schools are currently still going to be around, but also just really help you guys understand different parts of town in Wheat Ridge and some of the areas that are seeing some of this challenge with whether or not the schools will be here in 5 years. What I'd hate to have happen to one of my clients is a young family move in and potentially get a home really close to a school, so they had this great vision of their kids walking to school every day and having it be a really nice neighborhood for them to live and grow up in, close to their school. And then 6 months after moving in, the school closes down and turns into something else. So just kind of keeping that in mind. I think that's definitely one of the cons with Wheat Ridge, is just the challenges that the schools are having right now and just the uncertainty of which schools are going to remain in a couple years. So I'll leave it with that, but that would be my second con. All right, so I'm going to share with you guys now my third and final pro. There's a lot more to share with you, but for today I'll just do 3. My third one is the Greenbelt. Greenbelt, what is the Greenbelt? Well, as you might think, it's a really nice, lush green belt that follows basically the creek almost all the way through Wheat Ridge, and it's just this great outdoor space that a lot of people take advantage of, mostly in the spring, summer, and fall. It's open in the winter. Some people take their dogs for walks still there in the wintertime, but really for the most part, it's a summertime or just a warm weather place to go. But the Greenbelt is great. It's basically an area that just follows almost throughout the entire all of Wheat Ridge. But what's nice is a lot of the neighborhoods are built around this. So one of the homes that I actually lived in when I was going to high school in Wheat Ridge, we lived in this really cool neighborhood. I'll show you guys some videos and pictures of it here in a second. But what's so cool about it is a lot of these homes actually back up to the Greenbelt. So when you're looking for homes in Wheat Ridge, you can find a lot of neighborhoods that have cul-de-sacs and just have their development purposefully built where a lot of the homes back up to this open space. So what a cool backyard to have. I had a couple friends that lived right on the Greenbelt where their backyard literally had nothing but open space. A lot of the time, since the Greenbelts in most parts of Wheat Ridge are kind of down in a little bit of a gully, so when your backyard is facing the Greenbelt, usually you'd have to take some stairs or kind of do a decline to get down into it. What's nice about that is it just left you this expansive view from your backyard facing Boulder, the Flatirons, a lot of really cool views for a lot of the neighborhoods that back up to the Greenbelt. So not only are the views nice, but also, especially if you have a family or you're just a really active individual, walk out your door, within 2 minutes you're on this amazing paved trail. A lot of it's shaded, which is nice because all these obviously these really nice big trees are drawn to living and thriving next to the river. So a lot of really nice big mature trees, lots of shade, great place to walk your dog, take your bike, just all kinds of activities. But what's cool is it's just literally a continuous trail for miles and miles and miles. So back when I was in high school, I was actually on the cross country team, and just one quick example of this is a lot of times we would do our runs down there where you'd be able to just get off of the busy roads and not have to worry about traffic or running for a block and then having to wait for the stoplight. None of that kind of stuff. You're able to just get down into this really nice, beautiful area, get on the paved trail, and just go. And you can go for miles and miles and miles. So really cool. I really think that is something that not that many people know about, especially that are out of state. But the Greenbelt is a really big, attractive thing for a lot of people, and a reason why a lot of people move to Wheat Ridge in this part of town. So the Greenbelt, on top of just being a great place to get some exercise, it's also just a pretty area because it helps with a lot of people's views from their backyard. So there's obviously a lot of other really nice parks in Wheat Ridge as well. Crown Hill is right next to Wheat Ridge High School. That's another really nice park. They have some really good 5K races in the summertime. It's a very communal type park where you'll see kind of the same people there every day. So if you're a structured routine type person and you go to let's just say work out or take your dog for a walk at 8 a.m. every day, you'll see the same people for the most part. And I really like that aspect of certain neighborhoods, and Wheat Ridge is definitely one of those where you just have the ability to make friends. And even if you're not saying hi to them or physically, talking to them for 10 minutes every day, at least you just see some familiar faces and get that sense of community, which you're not going to find if you move to parts of town that are a lot more dense and congested, and potentially maybe some of the areas closer to downtown Denver, or even if you go down southeast into Aurora and some of these lot larger scale communities. So with Wheat Ridge, you still have a little bit more of that feel, that kind of neighborhood, feel of neighborhood, seeing friends and family when you're walking around and just enjoying recognizing people. So long-winded way of saying I just really enjoy that you have that sense of community in Wheat Ridge. All right, so we're ready for my third and final con of living in Wheat Ridge. And this is something that you're gonna find in really almost every neighborhood in Denver, in really any big city, but there is a fair amount of loitering and the homeless population. What's so funny is, at least not funny, but what's so strange to me is that some of these cities in the United States, Colorado and Denver being one of them, are so cold, yet we do still have quite a few homeless people, which is horrible. And I hope that can be improved and always be getting less and less. But that right now, that is still a little bit of a concern, especially in Wheat Ridge. And I think part of that is because we do have this I-70 interstate that does border or go through Wheat Ridge in several different parts of the neighborhood. And when you have a large highway that's going through, different parts of town, it seems like the big, intersections where people are getting on or off the highway tend to be areas where a lot of the homeless and these people panhandling and loitering tend to exist. So when you're in Wheat Ridge, you basically have, in my opinion, three of the main roads that are going kind of through town, which are Wadsworth, Kipling, and Youngfield. With Wadsworth and Kipling especially, you'll just find that a lot of the areas where those intersect with I-70, you're gonna see a fair amount of that kind of stuff. So, it's not, again, something that is totally unique to Wheat Ridge. You're gonna find that pretty much in every part of town, but I think that will improve as Wheat Ridge gets a little bit more gentrified and some of these older neighborhoods start to get redeveloped, and just you have a little bit more updates and improvements and redevelopments, and some of these shopping centers in different parts of Wheat Ridge get built and improved. So it is a con. It's a con probably pretty much everywhere, but I did want to at least mention that. So my third con, just the homeless and loitering situations that sometimes you'll notice in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. All right, well, there you guys have it. Those are my three pros, my three cons of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. As I mentioned earlier, this is a special place to me. I grew up and spent a lot of my childhood in Wheat Ridge and really, really love this part of town, and I really think a lot of the viewers today would as well. So if you're an active person that really likes getting up to the mountains, you like that easy accessibility to not only the I-70 and the I-70 corridor to get up to, the ski areas, hiking, all that fun stuff, but you also want to be close enough to town where you can be within a 15-minute drive of downtown Denver, even a little bit closer than that if you live on the east side of Wheat Ridge. So if you want to have kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion, Wheat Ridge is a phenomenal place to check out. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am a licensed real estate agent here in Denver, Colorado, and as much as I love making videos like this, I really love helping out my clients, my viewers, my friends and family, just anybody that's interested in Denver and is considering moving here. I love connecting with those types of people and just sharing my story and hopefully learning a little bit more about yourselves and how I might be able to provide some more value to you. So again, my phone number, my email, and my website are listed here below. I'm available 24/7, so feel free to reach out. And what works great for a lot of my clients and my friends and family is just setting up a quick 15-minute Zoom call. Let's just hop on a Zoom, just chat for a few minutes. I can learn a little bit more about you and what you're looking for, what interests you have, what your dynamic is, what's important to you, and I can start to just, put that all together and start looking and start helping you guys, at least in those initial stages of finding out, what might work and what parts of town might be the best for you. It doesn't have to be Wheat Ridge, it could be any part of town. I'm familiar with them all. So look forward to connecting with you guys soon, and I'll see you on the next episode of Living in Denver.